Soon-to-be husband said he wished I died instead of his late wife. Original post. Sorry for any mistakes. English is not my first language. My 30 female partner is a widower, 38 male. He lost his wife about 8 years ago in a tragic car accident. It was horrible. She had a few miscarriages before and was undergoing IVF. They were looking forward to having kids. We met 3 years ago and he recently asked me to marry him, to which I said yes. He's very much a loving man. When I broke my leg, he was the one doing everything around the house, including cooking and cleaning and taking care of my health. He takes care of all my needs emotionally and financially, which he doesn't need to, but he insists I let him. Every now and then, whenever we get intimate, he calls me by her name. I honestly didn't think much of it initially because mistakes can happen, given that he was with her since high school, but it happens more often than not. He also always does subtle comparisons between his late wife and me. She was a very homely woman and a very good cook, as even agreed upon by their mutual friends. He will sometimes laugh at my cooking and tell me how she would have done it better by adding this and that. I mean, I agree I'm not that great of a cook because I learned after graduating college, and I try to improve in my free time. Recently, he did it again, and this time in front of his parents. It was so humiliating that only I know how I resisted crying on the spot. We had a huge fight a few nights ago about this, when I said that he always humiliates me in front of everyone. At first he said it was just a joke, but when things got heated, he blurted out that he wished it was me who died that night, instead of his wife. I felt 1,000 knives stabbing my heart repeatedly. He immediately realized what he said and hugged me tightly, apologizing profusely. I just stood there like a dead person. I don't know what happened to him. In the past 3 years, he has never raised his voice or said something mean to me, so how could he say something like that in a fit of rage? I mean, who says something like that? I know I could never say it even to the person I dislike the most. The last few days have been really hard. I've been avoiding him like the plague. The only time my mind is off this mess is when I'm at work. At home, he's constantly circling me and apologizing, even though I asked him not to. His sister called me the other day and said I should forgive him because he has gone through a lot, and I shouldn't cause him more emotional trauma. His best friend and his wife say they understand what he said was wrong, but he loves me very dearly, and I should give him another chance. My partner suggested that we take counseling sessions together to make it work. I'm very torn. I don't know what to do. My family and friends don't know about this, so I have no one else to share it with. Now for the top advice before reading the update. He needs therapy. He's not ready to marry again, and that's unfair to you. This 1000%. He's already resenting you because he is trying to replicate his last relationship. But you aren't her. You deserve someone who wants you. Take it from someone who was with a person like your fiancé, but worse, for 13 years, and just now has discovered what it feels like to have someone actually want me. I'm so sorry you're going through this. You don't deserve it. You put it perfectly. No one deserves to be treated like a placeholder for someone else. That kind of comparison will only keep hurting her, and it's not her job to fix that kind of grief. She deserves real love, not someone still chasing the past. Does it not ruin the moment when he says her name during intimacy? Once or twice at the start is a push maybe, but after 3 years, and regularly, he is definitely fantasizing about her while inside you. You absolutely deserve someone who wants you for you, not someone who is looking to just replace their dead wife. You deserve better and happiness. Call it off and move on before it gets worse and before it's too late. It does. Initially, I felt very self-conscious about myself when he used to call her name. I started going to the gym twice a day for months until he noticed and said I don't have to starve myself and that he regrets calling out her name, but assured me it happens accidentally. It happening repeatedly is not accidental. We've all had past relationships, some lasting far longer than his marriage, and it's not a thing people do more than once or twice, unless they are doing it deliberately or they are fantasizing about them. He's not letting himself move past her. You deserve more than this. Personally, I'd leave him. Also, how does his sister and friends know what was said? Is he telling everyone on you? He told his best friend the next day, and I suppose that's how the word spread. Now for the mini update hours later. I have read most of the responses here, and I would be lying if I said I didn't immediately think of breaking up with him. I posted this only to get some clarity, since I was too embarrassed to even talk to someone in my family. Some of you were asking why I haven't informed anyone. This is the only reason. I didn't want to look like a 30-year-old fool with a failed relationship. I know what he said was bad. Really bad. But maybe because I love him, I still thought this relationship was salvageable. But it looks like it's not. I have texted our wedding planner, and I'm meeting her tomorrow to cancel all our wedding arrangements. For now, I won't be informing my partner about this until I plan to move out. I will be speaking to my sister tonight and hopefully moving out soon. Next story. Husband tried to end himself after he cheated, and now he has changed. The past year of my marriage has been one of the hardest times of my life. After giving birth, my sex drive completely disappeared. I later learned this is very common for women who are breastfeeding, but at the time I didn't understand it. And neither did my husband. Instead of being patient, he hounded me for sex almost every day. He turned into this anxious, desperate person I didn't even recognize. It was like living with a stranger who was always upset, always needing something from me. Our home felt cold and heavy, and I felt blamed for something I couldn't control. Then last week, everything collapsed. I found him lying on the floor with a suicide note next to him. He was pale and not responding. When he woke up at the hospital, he confessed that he had cheated on me and that the guilt was eating him alive. He said he couldn't carry it anymore. I had to sit there and hear that the man who had been treating me like a villain had betrayed me the whole time. The hospital staff pumped his stomach and said he would recover physically. Emotionally, I didn't know how I felt. I didn't visit him for a week. I didn't want to see him or hear his excuses. But my mother told me I should at least look him in the eye and hear what he had to say. When I finally went, he looked strangely calm. Too calm. He felt like the man he used to be before I gave birth. The man I fell in love with. He apologized for cheating and for trying to end his life. When he noticed I didn't want to talk about the affair, he quietly changed the topic. Our conversation felt almost normal again, and that scared me more than the chaos. When he came home with me, there was this eerie, peaceful air around him. Even our dogs sensed it. They kept rushing toward him like they were checking he was okay, then racing back to me like they were confused. One night I snapped. All my fear, anger, confusion, and exhaustion poured out of me. I was yelling and crying, and he just stood there. No arguing, no defending himself. He listened, he nodded, he kept steady eye contact. Then he hugged me, and in that moment, I felt so small and vulnerable that I couldn't even look him in the face afterward. Now both of our families are talking about divorce, custody, and what comes next, and I feel completely lost. I'm not ready to make huge decisions. A part of me wants to bury my head, shut out the noise, and pretend that somehow, someday, everything will be okay again. What you're feeling is completely normal. You've just been hit with trauma, on top of betrayal, fear, and now this sudden shift in his behavior. It makes sense that you feel exposed, confused, and overwhelmed. His calmness doesn't mean everything is fixed. It just means he's in a different emotional state right now, and you're still catching up to the shock of everything that happened. You don't owe anyone quick decisions. Take this one day at a time. Lean on your support system. Focus on your safety and your child's, and give yourself space to process before you even think about the future. You don't have to pretend everything is okay. You're allowed to take your time to decide what feels right for you. I never felt like this before. I never lost control and freaked out like that. There is something about him now that makes me so nervous. I just want to say to you, my ex tried to end himself when I broke up with him, then afterward was this understanding open person. Then a week later, he started his old nonsense right back up. Genuinely, give it some time and space if that's an option for you. Also, pay attention to how he responds to the space you request. If you want to go no contact and he keeps trying to get your attention, nope. Did anyone ask you how you feel? Nope. Except for my husband. When I got mad, he, instead of getting defensive, asked me how I am feeling. I think that's why I pucked my feelings to him. Y'all both need individual therapy. Like yesterday. Please get therapy for yourself. I will. Last story. I mentally broke my fiancé, and I don't think I'm ever getting her back. There's a lot of background here, but I'll try to keep it short. I, 41 male, met my now fiancé, 36 female, 5 years ago at work. She was a single mom to a 2-year-old boy and said the dad wasn't in the picture and that it was for the better. We were friends for a long time before it grew into something more. She's a truly wonderful person and I love her. With time, I learned she had been in a badly abusive relationship, both physically and emotionally, and he almost offed her twice. It took probably a year before I knew the whole story. Every time she had a nightmare, she would open up a bit more. I knew her scars before I knew the stories behind them, but I never wanted to push her. He left before she knew she was pregnant because supposedly it was safer for her. He later found out about the baby but kept his distance, as my fiancé didn't want him in their lives. They have not been in contact since before she gave birth. We know nothing about him and vice versa. We do send one yearly update about the boy on his birthday to his family, just to say he's happy and healthy. For all intents and purposes, her son is our son. I've been in his life since he was little. We raise him together. He calls me Dad, and he has my last name. I love him to absolute pieces, and I am very grateful to have such a good kid, despite his bio dad whom I have a lot of hatred toward. Still, my fiancé never truly blamed her ex for anything. She always said he wasn't a bad person, he just did bad things. I'm aware it was a trauma bond. I'm also aware that despite everything he did, when he left her all those years ago, she was out of it for weeks. I tried to understand it and couldn't, and I made peace with that a long time ago. We've rarely spoken about him for years, and she was healed and doing well. We got engaged earlier this year. Our son turned 7 recently, and she asked me to message her ex's brother like we always do with an update. He and his partner have been very supportive during her worst times. At that point, I'd never met or spoken to them besides the yearly, "He's fine." When I went to open the message, I saw a few recent exchanges between them from a couple of weeks after our engagement. My fiancé was asking about her ex, if he's okay, and what really drove me over the edge, if he's happy. I was very upset. When confronted, she said she had a bad feeling something happened to him and just wanted her brain to shut up. When I asked about the "is he happy" text, she said she almost feels guilty being so content with her life, and she shouldn't have done it. I still don't understand why you could give a single thought to whether someone is happy when they almost killed you. She's so focused on the why he did what he did, rather than the fact that he did it. To try to make her understand why that doesn't matter, I used our son as an example. What if he was in her place? What if he was bruised and beaten and taken into the hospital? I'll spare the graphic details, but that's when she finally said she'd end him. She sobbed uncontrollably, and I told her that whatever she was feeling in that moment was what I had been feeling toward her ex for years. We had some difficult conversations, but she seemed to finally come to terms with the fact that the reason behind the abuse is irrelevant and what he did is unacceptable. I thought we could finally leave this behind, but I now realize I pushed her too hard. The next morning, I woke up to my son yelling that Mommy was asleep on the bathroom floor. She was very disoriented, her eyes so puffy she could barely open them. She was asking where the baby had gone and believed she was pregnant. She didn't remember how she got there. She slept the rest of the day, and when she woke up, she didn't understand why it was evening already and forgot I'd found her in the bathroom. We went to the doctor the next day. She went on medication and restarted therapy. That was last month. She's been a shell of herself since. We don't talk much, and she sleeps a lot. A few days ago, she came to me asking why I'm still around, saying she doesn't deserve me. She had another breakdown. It turns out that the morning I found her in the bathroom, she had a vivid dream about some life with her ex and their son where she was pregnant. It has been consuming her for weeks. She thought she was healed but realized she had just locked everything away, and now it's grown into something else. I've never seen her so broken, and I've never felt as broken. She got worse, and I ended up calling an ambulance. One minute she was lucid, the next she was speaking as if she were back in the hospital after her ex abused her. She was taken in, and I stayed home with our son because I had no one to leave him with. I genuinely felt my heart tear in two. Even writing this now is an absolute gut punch. In trying to get her to see what he did to her, I completely broke her. I was struggling myself, and for some reason the only people I thought could help or understand were the brother and his partner. I called them that night and spoke for hours. I knew the whole story, but hearing it from their perspective was something else. I don't think I fully grasped how much damage her ex did until that night, And in trying to make it better, I made her lose the only sanity she was still holding on to. I worry we completely lost her, and I don't know how to explain to our son that I'm the reason his mom will never be the same. Edit. I know the bulk of it is not my fault. The damage was mostly done by her ex. I couldn't and can't truly imagine what she's gone through. However, she wouldn't be in this state if I had kept my mouth shut. One thing you should consider, do you have any legal rights regarding the child? Because if something more happens, and we all hope it doesn't, and you don't have any kind of legal ties to him, you could lose him. It won't matter you've been his father for the past however many years. The courts will want him with family. Yes, I'm his legal parent. Think of it like this. She is a vase. Her ex smashed her vase, and all this time she has held it together and pretended it was a perfect vase because she had pieced it together with tape. But the tape is just very poor coping mechanisms and a whole lot of ignoring how broken she is. But now the vase was filled with water and leaking. That was your love, the fantastic relationship, and the love she holds for her child. You pointed out that the water was leaking, and she couldn't ignore it anymore. Now she is left with broken pieces. First, she needs to take stock of all the pieces, therapy, and time. Then she needs to fix the vase like kintsukuroi. But that takes skill and time. So now she needs to learn the skills to heal and be given the time to heal. But since no one is born an expert, it will also involve a lot of trial and error. It's a long road, but she will be so much better for it in the long run. And if you can be patient, your relationship will be much stronger for it as well. But I do suggest that if you can afford it, you go to therapy yourself to learn how best to support her and to have someone to talk to about what you are going through emotionally as well. This is what I say when I see people broken but trying to fix themselves. I love kintsukuroi. It's going to be my next tattoo because I was that vase. We have this false belief that once something is broken, it either has to go back to the way it was before, perfect and fixed, or else it's useless and should be discarded. But kintsukuroi shows that something once broken is even more beautiful after the fact and more precious.